Happy Friday, October 2nd, 2020. This is the Future History Podcast.
I have my partner back.
Yes.
I wasn't expecting him to be here today, so this is nice.
I was in the kitchens yesterday
Nice.
teaching some folks how to cook a little bit. Showed them how to make candied pecans.
Wow. Sounds so good, but it would kill me. I would be 6 feet under if I ate that.
You can use the method on any...
Can I candy peanuts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much what you do is you take sugar and water
Mhm.
and a little molasses, and you make this syrup.
Let me ask you a question about that. Is caramel just heating up sugar?
Yes.
That's it. Because I love sugar daddies or like.
I can make it in a
So
pot.
if I took a pan and I just poured sugar in and brought it to a boil.
It's very finicky, though, because caramel is what also turns into candy.
Yeah.
So if you go past the step, like you'll visually see it,
Mhm.
you're going to ruin your pan. Because the minute you put some liquid onto
Yeah.
it to try to stop it, it becomes rock solid and adheres to the pan.
They have to.
So it's like seconds.
They have to add something to like commercial caramel, like for instance, like a Milky Way bar. There's caramel in it. I'm wondering if they just add something else to that.
Absolutely.
They do, right?
Yeah. There's nothing you're going to buy nowadays
Yeah, that
that's
doesn't
not
have-
added something.
I'm just wondering because I always want caramel. I love caramel. I can eat that like any
Yeah.
candy bar. It's
I like dulce de leche ice cream, too.
Yeah,
That's
so do
just
I.
caramel.
So do I.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. I get any candy bar I get. Like there's bags now that you can buy in the store, and it says like peanut lovers. It has like peanut M&Ms, Reese's, anything with peanuts in it or peanut butter, and then they have caramel lovers. So you can get
Yeah.
every type of. I get that all. I love that, man.
Sometimes when there's like ice cream bars, there's the fudge and then there's the caramel.
Oh, always caramel.
But that stuff is like,
Always
Yeesh.
caramel. I get the what do I like? Like the Ben and Jerry's or something. Anything that's got like caramel with caramel chips and caramel cookie dough, whatever. It's just so
caramel is delicious.
Caramel is the shit. It's
Yeah.
good.
Sugar is very
And that's
versatile.
all it is, though. It's fascinating. I didn't thought it
There's
was
different
some-
methods. Like you can
Yeah.
do like a simple syrup, which would be water and equal parts water to sugar,
Okay.
and
okay.
reduce that down.
Gotcha.
Or you can just do sugar.
I remember making it in high school science, and I just, I was trying to recall if it was actually caramel we were making or something else. And, your grandfather, it must run in the family because he loves caramel. So,
It's something to love.
Do you know what sugar daddies are?
Yes.
Okay.
That's basically
Yeah, and they had sugar babies too, which were like little tiny sugar
Yeah.
daddies.
a little bit of honeys are good too.
Oh, I love bitter honey. Oh, those are
Is that
so
what it's
good.
called? Bitter
Bitter
honey?
honey. Yeah, those are like
Old school.
Yeah, I used
That's
to get
a
them
real
when I was a
Halloween
kid.
time candy.
When I was a kid, I used to get those all the time at the store. They were phenomenal.
I like now in October they're just gonna do like 31 days of Halloween.
Yeah.
I'm into it. I think this is my favorite season, honestly.
Oh, where do they
Halloween,
do that
October.
on TV or
just
something?
in general, like
Oh,
life. You live your
yeah.
life in a Halloween.
Yeah, I
spirit.
like Halloween. It's
my favorite.
This is my favorite time of year. I mean, I met your mother around this time of year.
Wonderful.
We spent a lot of, just a lot of good times. Like there was.
It's a
different-
very sentimental
Yeah.
air.
Yeah.
The leaves, they make
Yeah.
it like a kind of smell, right? Like when the leaves start to dry.
Yep. I remember we had just gotten back to school. I was in 11th grade, and I met Mom, and then we, just like homecoming was. I took her to the homecoming at my high school, and we, we just a lot of the parties. When you go back in those days, there was always like open house parties they called them, which were basically somebody got a keg or two or four in their
They
backyard.
were happening right up until COVID.
Yeah, yeah. So we did the, it was just a fun time, and it always reminds me of this time of year. So, and we got married in October, so we
A lot of fun stuff to do this time of year.
Yeah.
You can
great.
a lot of people go out east on Long Island. They go to all the apple orchards.
Mm-hmm.
The sunflower season, I think, just passed, but that's September heavy activity to go see the
Yeah.
sunflower fields.
Yep.
Um,
I like the spring. I like when that comes in, but the fall is just crisp air. Football starts. Like there's just something about it. So. I agree.
but it's good though because there is a lot to do.
Yeah.
Fortunately, until it gets really cold.
I love when the leaves change, like that type of
Yeah.
environment. Yeah, the real cold is not my cup of tea.
I'm
So-
big into the cider house.
Yeah.
There's a lot of local cider houses out
Sure.
east. And they double as a donut shop because they make
Oh, wow.
apple cider donuts
Mm.
from the apple cider. And it's
Cool.
a wonderful thing
Yeah, I love those.
if you're into that kind of
yeah.
thing, I guess.
Anything for Halloween or October, Thanksgiving, I like too.
Oktoberfest is going
yeah.
down in Germany right now.
Yeah, I just always, I really, I all the way up until Christmas gets a little, and like New Year's, I find more depressing than anything. It's like, not that it's depressing,
I
but
think
it's
it's just
like,
because everything is now like all you have to look forward to is spring.
well, yeah, because it's like I hate the month of like February where it's like you're at the end of winter and it's cold, dark, So anyway, this day in history, I'll knock out quick. 1535, Jacques Cartier reaches a town he calls Montreal. So Montreal was named in 1535. 1870, the Papal States in Italy voted to move the capital from Florence to Rome. 1909, Orville Wright sets the altitude record of 1,600 feet. He more than doubled it, the old record, which was 508 miles, 508 feet high, not miles. 1950, Peanuts makes its first appearance in newspapers. 1959, one of my personal favorite shows of all time, The Twilight Zone,
Yeah, me as well.
premieres on CBS. 1964, scientists announce that smoking can cause cancer.
Can it?
1964, they put it on. 1967, Thurgood Marshall becomes the first African American Supreme Court justice sworn in.
What was his name? Thurgood Marshall?
Thurgood Marshall.
Yeah.
And famous birthdays: 1890, Groucho Marx, one of the 5 famous Marx brothers.
I don't know if I like that name.
What?
Marx.
Marx? Why?
It just gives me a weird vibe
Oh,
because
yeah?
of Marxism.
Oh, yeah.
That whole it's like Adolf.
Yeah, I gotcha. They were just, you know who he was, right?
Weren't they like an acting?
Yeah, he was the
show
guy with
business
the
family?
with the cigar, with the mustache
Yeah, yeah,
and the
yeah.
glasses. He was just very funny, like. But yeah, there was
Strange.
Groucho, Harpo, Gummo. There was,
Gummo.
5 brothers. 1900, Bud Abbott, who played the straight man to Lou Costello in Abbott and Costello. 1937, famed attorney Johnny Cochran, who represented, among others, O.J. Simpson and Michael Jackson. 1945, Don McLean, singer-songwriter. One of his most famous songs, well, probably his most famous, was American Pie. 1949, Annie Leibovitz, famed photographer. She was the one, she did a lot of photographs for Rolling Stone magazine, but one of her most famous ones was those pictures of John Lennon with the New York shirt on that he has, where he's kind of got his arms folded, and those pictures are famous now. 1951, Sting, bassist and singer for the Police. 1970, Kelly Ripa from morning show fame. And those are the birthdays on this day in history. So,
Happy birthday.
yep. So, now, guess the biggest news of the day so far, Donald Trump and Melania coming down with COVID.
Yeah.
So, not a, not something that I think is, guys on the campaign trail. He's shaking hands with everybody. He's getting close to people. And also a woman on Air Force One, one of his top advisors, had shown symptoms, and eventually they tested her and she came down with it. So, people get it. It's like when you catch a cold, you catch the flu. I don't anticipate this, the Dow Jones plunged, already, and it's all, once there's any sort of,
That's to be expected.
yeah, that exactly. But I just, they said he's going to continue his daily duties as he has all along, and I don't anticipate, God willing, nothing major. So, but it's already, I could see people on the left where, hopefully he dies from it and all the craziness that you expect.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
It's too bad.
Yeah. Yep.
It's too bad. But knowing him, he'll probably play it in his favor.
Absolutely.
I
He'll
don't
spin
think.
it.
I mean, first of all, any publicity is good publicity.
Sure. I mean, you.
So now you turn on the news.
Mhm.
Trump, 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 Trump. People can't stop talking about the guy.
No.
For one
No.
reason or another.
Right away, that was the first news. The day.
I was getting phone calls, like I told you before the podcast, 5 a.m.
God.
from people, like so.
People catch illnesses when they're around other people. This is not a new thing. This has been going on
Here's the thing, though.
since the beginning of time.
You're not a scientist.
Mhm.
You're not a doctor.
Right. Hmm.
I'm not a scientist.
Mhm.
I'm not a doctor.
Correct.
So if we were to have an actual, physician who understands
Hmm.
what's going on with this virus and
Mhm.
can present you compelling evidence for
Sure.
what's happening, what do you think? Would you listen, or would you just kind of just
course.
maintain your own? I'm just wondering
course.
because
Unless
it
it's
seems like there's a lot of
I wouldn't watch a physician necessarily. It would depend who the physician was on TV, what channel he was on. What,
no, forget about TV.
Yeah, but if somebody,
Like a
real
doctor,
doctor
like a
came in,
medical
I would
professional.
absolutely listen. I would also probably get 2 or 3 doctors because you always get a second opinion.
Yeah, true. That's a good point.
So,
I just don't know. I think there's a lot of there's probably a lot of truth in both sides of
just
the argument.
without a doubt.
Like I was saying before, and Trump points this out more frequently than Joe Biden
Mhm.
and the left does, is the rate of depression, joblessness, just the overall mental health. I'm going to keep coming back to the mental health thing because it's a real thing.
Mhm.
The overall mental health of the
Child
of the-
abuse.
child abuse, domestic abuse, drug addiction, alcoholism
All the societal ills.
are festering
Yeah.
right now, like an infection.
Correct.
So you have that going on.
Right.
Then you have this virus who has everybody pretty much sick to their stomach with anxiety, except for the exception of maybe yourself and But
I'm the lone
I'm only
dissenter.
kidding,
No,
really.
I
But
know.
it's not good.
No.
No matter where.
Look,
you know,
I don't want to catch COVID.
no, but you would probably be
Yeah.
just fine. I think
Well,
you're a very healthy guy.
Who
for-
knows? I mean, I don't have a spleen, so part of my
True.
immune system is compromised. So
True.
that's not, just because someone looks a certain way, you never know. But I just think that,
See, here's the thing that the left is really putting their finger in right now
Yeah.
is the mask thing.
Mm.
But the thing is, I wonder how many people caught the virus wearing a mask anyway. A lot of doctors caught
Sure.
COVID working in the
Mhm.
hospital. I mean, they're wearing the best protective equipment you can get.
Yeah, I mean,
So it's like the masks aren't 100%
No.
effective regardless.
there isn't anything that's 100% effective. You really can't. I think you can take steps to.
I
better
agree in
prepare
wearing
yourself.
it.
Yeah.
I wear it as a personal choice. I'm
Sure.
not thinking of it like Cuomo's telling me.
Yeah. No, I wear
When I
it
walk
when
into
I-
7-Eleven, in a sense, it makes sense. Look at all the nasty ass people that are around.
Sure.
I hate to say it that way, but there's a lot of strange birds floating around, and I don't want to be breathing that crap. If it helps, it helps.
So let me ask you a question. When COVID goes away, or they say it goes away, or they have a vaccine, and those same nasty-ass people are walking around 7-Eleven, would you continue to wear a mask? What's your...
Here's the thing. I think they opened up Pandora's box
Right.
with the mask.
Right.
I don't know if it's ever going to go away. I think you'll see that the freedom to have a choice in it will arise, but I think you're going to see a lot of people... This has done a lot of irreparable damage to the psyche of this country.
What about the screens that they have up everywhere? Are those going to stay
I think
up?
that might as well be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because think about it. If you're the clerk at 7-Eleven and some
Yeah, I know.
comes in
I know.
and you can't afford to stay home,
I know.
might as well have it. It sucks.
It's like...
Bizarre.
I agree with it. It's like another barrier to people, to humans interacting. It's like
I know.
the more technology evolves, the less people connect, and I think it's almost like a.
Well, I think it's going to really hurt cities more.
Yeah.
Because when you go to, I don't know, let's just say New Hampshire,
Mm-hmm.
where people have a lot of space,
Mm-hmm.
who cares? They don't, I mean, they care. I'm sure the gas stations and things like that.
Mhm.
But those people should be protected anyway. Maybe they turn them into bulletproof to prevent
Yeah.
robberies too. You know, it could be it's a dangerous world.
Yeah, it's
I-
a tough
I don't
call.
know.
It's
I
a
really
tough
don't
call.
know.
But I do wonder with the masks. I mean, look, the problem is that
It's crazy that this is our world right now.
yeah. I mean, these things have happened in the past.
Yep.
We've had Spanish flu, we've had different, epidemics or pandemics, but it's just a matter of the.
Think of what the plague might have done to people's mentality in those days. They were
plague
pro-
would have the plague.
We would
if
have all been
something-
dead.
Yeah, I mean, if something like the plague happened now,
It
the
exists.
economy would crash. Complete. Not that it didn't already.
Yeah.
It would crash.
It would be apocalyptic.
crash.
It would be apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Probably the reason that they didn't have those conditions, like with the crashing of the economy. Maybe they did crash. Who knows? I don't know what the world's economy
The
was
economy.
at that point.
Oh, you mean
But
back
what I-
then?
But I think the reason that they prevailed is because they weren't so connected.
Well,
I
it
think
was
that was
it
a
was
part of it.
feudal times that it occurred. So usually, people lived off the land. There was like a lot of serfs. You had a lot of peasants. So it was a different. You're right. Now the world.
Is so codependent on. Now, what's amazing to me is that little outfit that the doctors would wear. The bird's beak was
How
stuffed with
fascinating
fresh
is that?
herbs.
Yeah.
And then they always have a cane, and you're like, well, why do they have a cane? It was to poke the bodies
Yeah.
to see if they were alive,
Yeah.
and it was like a 6
Yeah.
foot cane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy. I mean, that
Can you imagine that it's like
that's all. That was the
potpourri.
doctor's.
Yeah, potpourri and a mask to hide the smell of the
They've
dead
been using
bodies.
masks a long time.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
And I made the mistake. I told your sister about Ring Around the Rosie, how that started. And that was basically during the plague. Kids would sing, ashes, ashes, because they were burning the dead bodies.
Yeah.
We,
They all
Ring
fall
Around the
down.
Rosie, and they'd have pockets full of posies because they would try to sprinkle flowers around to hide the smell of the corpses everywhere. So
That was the game they played to like.
yeah, it was
enjoy.
like it became,
That's so weird.
and
I didn't know that.
So I made the mistake of telling your sister, and of course, what does she do? She goes to school and she's telling her friends, "Ring around the road." Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Oh boy.
you live.
Well,
and
and you
learn.
have the.
Right away.
Oh.
I should have known Jonna would like run with that, but I was telling kids.
That's
at
the
school.
problem with the world, though, is all this information that kids are getting.
Yeah, well,
I
I'm,
mean-
I'm responsible in that case.
But that's like.
She ran to school and she's telling her friends, "Yeah, the plague. They were burning bodies, and the kids were like looking at
Yeah.
like,
She probably loved that.
Dad's weird."
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
Well-
that is how it starts. So, obviously it permeated, if you think about it, it was how devastating that would be in today's times. I mean, it's unimaginable what would
I
happen.
don't think that we're seeing the effects of COVID
No.
yet. I think we're still like this honeymoon.
COVID is like a fraction of what the plague was.
Yeah.
The bubonic plague, you have people dying out in the streets.
With open sores.
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
different disease altogether. It does exist, tuberculosis. I mean,
yeah. There,
it's out there.
They've had some
Flare-ups.
isolated cases that have come out,
But see, that's why I believe we need to invest a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
in public health and infrastructure, because you have these. It's been called a petri dish,
right.
like Skid Row, for
Mm-hmm.
example. People have to make a choice. Do you want that there, or do we do something about
Mm-hmm.
letting that even be in existence?
Where do you fund that? How do you fund it?
Tax, same as anything else. That's where I'd want my money to go.
Right. So then you got to pull tax from certain things to put
Fine.
to that,
I'm sure there's plenty of things that you could pull a little bit money from.
Well,
They're think about how much money they're dishing out to people on unemployment.
yeah. I know.
It's like not a big, and they just
Yeah.
did it.
Yep.
There's money to be had. This
Yeah.
country's in the green.
Yeah. Well, so infrastructure, health. Yeah, I mean that's
I don't know. Do you like driving on old dinky bridges while
nah.
you know what I mean? Like,
No, they definitely
rather
the
have-
bridges in this country are most of them are.
how about a good train
subpar.
system so you can
Yeah.
really go around like you can in Europe and
Yeah.
go to state to state?
Well, I just think
quickly
it
and
comes
easily?
down to those are two.
That would be a
the
great job
expense, the expense to really revamp all these things is massive. And the problem is,
Well-
you know, I'm playing devil's advocate, and to me, like, I don't.
I'm not. It's
Yeah.
we've
I
been
just think you
dealing with the
gotta-
same old crap for like
Yeah,
50
we have.
years.
But it comes down to, again, there's always the issue about raising taxes. There's always the issue where if let's say they're pulling money from one place to another. Let's say they're taking it from inner city housing, and
Sure.
then they're putting it to. You could rest it. I'm just using that as an example because a lot of money goes to inner city development and things like that. Or look, tax dollars are going to De Blasio's wife. Millions
pull
of
money
dollars
from her.
right? That's what I'm saying. Like,
But that's what my point
you know,
also is that
yeah.
there's money going everywhere.
Yeah. Yep.
Pinpoint the pork fat crap.
Yep.
Take that money and invest in infrastructure.
Yeah.
I just don't
The
understand how it
country
could
is
be even a
overdue.
question.
The country is overdue for an upgrade in infrastructure. There's no question about it.
It's
look
just
at what
disgusting.
they had a huge project going on. Like if you look down, in Smithtown heading out to Port Jeff.
With 347. over
Yeah,
there.
I mean that was a huge project,
and that's nothing.
long overdue.
Yeah, and it's literally nothing.
Right.
They built a nice sidewalk and
Yeah.
painted the poles
Yeah,
green.
they built
and
another
planted
lane.
flowers.
Yeah, they built a lane. I mean, the traffic was so absurd, they had to. But the problem is, that's an issue with infrastructure everywhere. The roads on the island were not built to
Right.
sustain the population that's out here now. And there needs to be rebuilds all over, and like you said, public health.
It's just to
This
me,
was a
like,
wake-up call.
If you think, and for me, it's like if you can have your tax dollars go to something worth your while.
Sure.
Take
Yep.
away the fact that corruption exists. We have to all agree that we all know that that's there.
Right.
But if you could do something to avoid people contracting AIDS through dirty heroin needles and things like that, I just don't understand why that's a question for people. It's not like those problems just disappear. You know what I mean?
Again-
you can't just wave a wand and all of a sudden.
That's a totally different issue.
But that's public health.
But what you'd have is then people saying, well, because some idiot wants to go shoot himself with needles. And I don't give my,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to illustrate the arguments that have been there throughout the years. And that is, look, if some idiot is shooting himself with heroin, why the fuck should my tax dollars take care of that guy or worry about him when it could be going to my kids or my neighborhood or,
Yeah, but that drug addict or that criminal or
Right.
that mentally ill person might be out there
Right.
and do something far worse to your
Right.
family. That
Wh-
you know what
Which
I'm
is
saying?
where then the next logical step for some people would be, well, then they should increase police and put more money to policing I'm just saying there's so many arguments, and that's, politics is such a tricky game, and I've heard it as I've been growing up because, there's always been these arguments there where, we want to improve certain things and then people fight. Well, what about this? Or why should I be responsible for this? And I mean, I remember sitting in high school and the teacher would bring up something, for instance, like gun control. If somebody breaks into your house and then you'd have a bunch of kids stand up, I would shoot the guy right in the head. And then the teacher was like, well, what about if it's a guy that's mentally ill and he was just trying to eat, he was starving, and you shoot him? And it's like, there's always arguments on these things, but I think that infrastructure is a no-brainer in this
It
country.
just seems
has
like you don't want to
improve.
give your opinion though. You're playing devil's advocate, and
Well,
I want to know and
my-
I'm not just
My
singularly
opinion
attacking you
is
because there's a lot of people.
right. My opinion is I don't want my money to go for some guy shooting heroin because
Well,
I've
then
had
you're
issues.
going to have
I've
communities where
had
bubonic
issues
plague
in the
and
past.
tuberculosis exist. They
Well,
can get rid of that.
I think, there's a lot of, but I think there's other ways to deal with that problem.
End the war on
you
drugs
know?
and stop throwing these sick people in prison
Right.
where they come out
Well,
and they're
that's-
worse of a criminal.
Right. I'm not.
You could throw them in prison.
I know, but you're talking about all you like.
No,
you
it's the same argument.
But there's certain things that I would tackle in a certain way.
Sure.
I wouldn't just my money to drugs. I would want to see exactly where it's going, what it's doing. But just because somebody
Perhaps
chooses,
if you ended the war on drugs in the way that it's been going for
I don't
many,
think the
many
war
years,
on drugs is successful.
maybe
at all.
you wouldn't need all these police.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean,
Which
oh,
again goes
God.
back to education. If you educated people properly about drugs, when they're young, then
Well, that would
you might
require
not
tax
need-
dollars too.
right. But I'm saying maybe it should go there because that's really a preemptive strike.
Well, what
Rather
would
than
the
dealing-
education be? They did DARE. It was an epic fail.
It's failing. I think they need to revamp what they're doing. But I think that preemptive strikes, it's like what Joe Rogan says. Would you rather deal with an illness before it happens and take care of yourself properly, or would you
Or-
rather deal
yeah.
with it after? It's the same type of thing. It's like, would you rather handle a problem after the guy's strung out on heroin, or would you rather properly, maybe you don't make it illegal? You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of ways to look at it. Maybe you legalize drugs and then you handle it a different way altogether. I'm just saying there's different ways than just, you have to look at what's the most efficient.
It's a strange
Right.
issue because some people say hell no
Right.
to legalize.
That's my point, though. There's going to be arguments on both sides. Sure. But I just think
But if
preemptive
you
is
know what the
always the way.
definition of insanity is, right? When you repeat the same mistake over and over
Correct.
again, expecting a different
Correct.
outcome.
Yes.
Well, how many years are we going to be doing the same thing?
I don't
and
think we
a
ever
shit
legalized
outcome?
drugs, though. We never legalized
Right,
it.
because we've been doing the same
Right.
thing over and over
But
again.
but I just think, like I said, to me, we've dealt with problems. I think, like preemptively handling problems
Sure.
before they occur is way more effective than managing them after they occur.
I agree. I say
You know.
legalize them and educate.
Yeah, that might be the
Because
most
you're not going to
effective
make
way.
people stop doing drugs regardless.
Nope.
But to me, public health is a part of infrastructure.
Yeah,
So that's just the way I interpret it. And
Right.
everyone has their own.
yeah. No, I
But to
get
me,
it.
that's an investment.
Yeah.
Just as proper education
Mhm.
is an investment, just as building things
Yep.
is an investment.
I think.
Do we invest in our own country or what?
Yeah, look, to me, I think there's a lot of money wasted abroad. I think
Absolutely.
that, that's something that has to be looked at
So
also.
if we're doing what Donald Trump wants, and that's to bring a lot of people home, move things around, which I agree with, it's
Right.
a good thing. Well, if we're not fighting any major wars on any major fronts, then why do we need to keep pumping tons of money into the military
I know.
when
I
it's
know.
perfectly fine right now, as is, stronger than anyone?
Yeah. No, I know. Look,
It's like, God.
I'd have to have more for myself. Again, I would really look at something and read and read and read and read and read if these were problems like brought to my attention where you have to make a decision for the country or something. I mean, that's the job of the president, is to really, make sure that you have the top advisors and that you're educated on the decisions you're making. I think, though, that
Like your tax dollars already fund social programs like the methadone program,
Sure.
things like that.
Yep.
So you already have these facilities that exist, which are kind of the same principle. So
they're dealing with the problems after the
after
problems
this, and
occur.
it's a terrible system. It's
It's
a
just
shame.
substituting one drug for another. That's
and
all
it helps a lot of people. I know this,
Mm-hmm.
but it's it's like weird.
Yeah, I just think that it's like
But that there's already like something there. It's
you can
kinda
look
like,
at countries who have very lenient drug policies, and
Yeah.
you could see what the statistics are over there. And look, you know
Portugal.
what the problem is though with the United States, truthfully, compared to a lot. Well, now that gap is closing. But a big problem you have in the United States is it's such a mixture of different types of people ethnically.
But it was built that way.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, when you look at certain countries, especially back in the day when, like, 10, 15 years ago, a lot of people were pointing at Scandinavia as, like, the model for what we should base our country off of. That was a very homogeneous society. It's now changing. Their immigration is increasing.
Sure.
But
Well, the refugee crisis is ever growing.
Right, but it's that was the difference when you were trying to compare certain things with like USA and Norway. It was like two completely different countries. You know, when you have all the same. For instance, if everybody was white in America, we would have no race issues. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, or if everyone was black.
right,
or
that's what I
vice
mean.
versa.
Just I'm saying, if everybody was all the same type of person, it doesn't
We are
matter
the
what
same
color.
type of person. That's
Well,
the
we
problem.
are. I agree, but there's people out there that don't agree with that.
A lot of them are on the left.
media being number one.
Yep.
Keeping this issue alive.
I
But
would
I'm just saying,
happen to
it's,
say- I just think though
you
that,
look at countries that have lenient drug policies, and I think that that's a start. to see what the real feedback is from them, and is it effective in dealing.
Well, the
you know,
statistics are there.
Yeah.
I've watched numerous documentaries about it and read about it.
Yep.
And Portugal does just fine.
Sure.
Their crime rate is like minimal.
Yeah, it's a very, again, you know, very small. Policing a nation like that is a lot easier, just because sheer population.
We police our population like county by county.
No,
so
I
it's
know
not
that.
like the police department's policing all of America at once,
I
even
just
though
think
they are.
certain cities like Los Angeles, Chicago, Detroit, New York versus like Lisbon.
Right.
It's just a complete different animal
All
as
right.
far
Well,
as you
if
know.
you legalize drugs, then the scary drug dealer on the corner with the
I
gun in
agree.
his pocket's out of business.
I agree. Look, you're preaching to the choir. I don't think our policy works.
and the cartels in Mexico and Russia
Right.
and China
Yep.
are done because they love selling us drugs.
Of course.
They love that we suffer for it. They love that we pay top dollar for
Yep.
it. It's a win-win-win-win-win.
The prisons are full.
We lose.
The prisons are full of, you know, look, if we legalize it and then somebody commits a crime, you just prosecute the crime. You know,
Right.
it
And you
doesn't.
right, exactly.
Right.
And you prosecute them hard,
Yeah,
like you do a Dewey.
yeah. I don't think it's, you know, it's the jails are filled with people that, you know.
There's
have-
people in prison from the 70s who were
Ridiculous.
on a
Ridiculous.
Cessna plane with like a pound of weed.
I know.
You
It's
know, like
ridiculous.
it's
Ridiculous.
stupid.
But that's a start. I think, you know.
I guess in the 80s when they came about, they must have really thought that there was this, you know, AIDS was swirling around and crack was swirling around. And I you know, different strokes for different folks
Yeah.
in different times. I understand. But again, it's like they're repeating the same mistake thing
Yeah.
for 35 years is like,
It's insane, you know, and you can't. Again, it also comes down to me. I'm somebody who it's like, you can't legalize one thing
And
then
leave the others out.
Right. Like
Correct.
if you're legalizing alcohol, how can you not legalize marijuana?
it all comes
altogether,
back to the
you know?
same thing that the government is too big.
Yeah. Well.
And it likes to make us think that we're incapable of getting big news.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like we're handling real change.
It's also the lobbyists. You know, you have the that
right.
was
You don't think Big Pharma is going to be too happy if opium's legal? And I don't know. I have
Right.
no experience with opium. And I don't know if it's better to take the synthesized
Yeah.
pill form or
Yeah.
the real plant.
Yep.
But I would imagine it would probably be better if you can get like a plant. I don't know, but they got to do something about it. And especially
anything
nowadays,
man-made is never as good as what you're going to
as
get
a thing from the earth,
you
right?
know?
I agree. But in the day and age of COVID that we live in today, you have to look around and wonder where we're going to be in 5 years, 4 years, because we're just getting started at this collective panicking that we're all doing.
Chaos.
I hate to say it.
It was chaos the first several, you know, it was, I mean, the streets were empty. You know, now as I drive and there's traffic again,
Yeah.
it's like, wow, like, you know, a few months ago, you go out in the middle of the day or like rush
Yes.
hour and there
It
was
empty,
nobody.
empty.
There was
Creepy.
nobody.
It was creepy.
Yeah.
Remember I told you
Parking
the
lots
story
were
when all the
empty.
fire departments sounded their horns at
Yeah.
the same time?
Yeah, yeah.
It was the most eerie thing in the
Yeah.
world. It felt like,
Yep.
because there was no planes, no trains, no cars, no noise pollution.
Parking lots were
Parking
empty.
lot, except for the hospital near me, that
Yeah.
was packed.
Yeah. Yep.
It was weird. And
Now, I don't know if it was Photoshopped, the figure of the dolphin swimming up into the
don't think
canals
that
in
was.
Venice. You know, just to be able to see through the water, you know, was interesting.
pretty quick change.
Yeah. So,
Wonder what that's all about. That's from them being dirty bastards and flushing their toilets directly into the rivers.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know what. All I can
don't
tell
know.
you is what's scary, though, is that, like you said, everybody is so dependent. It's like this web between the information, everything being computerized, and, you know, people not growing their own foods anymore, like, you know, except for obviously a small portion of the people. It's,
Or rather a large portion of the people. We just don't live near them.
Yeah, well, that's
The
it's
bread
still,
basket,
but right. But overall, I think percentage-wise, based on the population
I
of the
gotta
country.
say, I'm keeping a close eye on Florida because Rick DeSantis is like going forward with opening everything full scale,
Yeah,
and that's going to be good for him for subjecting his people as to being the guinea pigs. But
Yeah.
let me tell you this: if it goes horribly wrong, he's up Schitt's Creek
Yeah.
without a paddle.
Yeah.
So that's a big risk. I
well,
say good.
what's the difference in Florida? I'm curious, like between
Well, they're like willing to host a Super Bowl
Okay.
with
full capacity.
yeah.
What about the schools?
If you you got to check it out. It's on
Yeah,
Fox,
I'm going to.
CNN.
I'm going to.
He's going full steam
Full steam ahead.
Like nothing happened.
Interesting.
Hey, look. If the people of Florida want to take that chance, and then he's going to make that call.
I think
let's
obviously
see.
the cases will.
You're going to see them all come right back
yeah,
up here.
Yeah, they will go up. But to me, the true death rate or the real sickness rate of the people, like, is it just like it was a bad flu season and a lot of people got like, it's hard to grasp what this really is because the numbers are always fudged, both sides. I think the right makes the numbers low, and I think
And
the left makes them high. So
Probably
it's,
somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Which, regardless, is a
it's
lot.
still bad.
Yeah.
But is this worse than like a bad flu season?
Would
or
it
is
have?
this-
Would it have gone down though? If we didn't do what we did in New York?
Would the numbers have gone down as far as doing what? What do you mean, protesting or?
No, like would the numbers have gone down if like we didn't enact these like large scale shutdowns?
Oh yeah, would the numbers have gone?
I mean,
down
like
if
what
we-
would have happened?
Would the
if
numbers
we would have
have
just
gone,
kept rolling?
You mean would
with-
the numbers have gone up if
Yeah.
we didn't? Yeah. I think they
course.
would have.
Yeah.
But
and
I
then
don't.
what happens?
But who knows?
We don't know anything about
Yeah,
the virus.
that's what I mean.
It was
Who-
made in a lab.
Who knows if people just get it and are and they're
This is
able
the
to
other
fight it.
issue
I
with
don't
the
know.
vaccine. If you look on the time scale of how long it's taken to
Yeah.
develop vaccines,
Yes.
it takes 40
I know,
years.
I know.
So who's going to take it?
I know. That's. a
And
lot of-
then what?
I know.
You have 50% of the country saying we're not doing anything until there's a vaccine, but
Yeah.
then they're not going to take it.
I know.
So they're not going to do anything.
Well, what's your opinion? I mean,
Honestly, I'm flipping out, like
Right.
because I don't know what to think
right. So you don't have either way. You're kind
on
of
the
like,
vaccine, or
no, just in general. Like, should catering be open right the way it was? Because
Jeez.
that affects you directly.
it does.
So what do you
It's
think?
destroying my life.
Right. So-
Well, it's a really hard call for me to make.
Yeah. Yep.
I would love nothing more
Mhm.
than to be where I was 6
Right.
months ago.
Right.
I didn't think about this crap.
No. Nobody.
All I
did.
thought about was produce and meats and managing a kitchen
Nobody thought about this.
and listening to nice music
Yeah.
and sauteing.
Sure. So
I had no problems. it
do you
felt
roll
like.
the dice and open up and or what? What's the But these are decisions that people have. There are guys that have to make
I
that
know.
choice.
Well, Rick DeSantis is
Right.
doing it.
Right. So.
Donald Trump has been trying to do it, whether we like it or not.
He's damned if he do. It's like
Yeah, but you know his view. You know where he
I know what
stands.
his view is, but I still think though that even though he might view something some way, he still can't follow through 100%.
Suppose he went
that
with the
view.
left's route, though, from the beginning. I wonder if it would have... Like, would people have supported him? Or would they have hated
Well, they
him? I don't
weren't
know.
support. Oh, you mean
If he would have went the
didn't-
Cuomo route, you know what I mean? Like, getting on the bandwagon with Cuomo and
Well, in the beginning, they
Newsom.
weren't supporting him. All the lefties were saying he's being.
Prejudice against
Yeah,
China and Europe.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. He's damned if he did. He's in a no-win situation because he just no matter what he does, the other side will say he made the wrong choice, and it's very Monday morning, armchair quarterback type of deal where it's easy to say, he made the wrong choice. He should have, shut down right away, but when he was
Well,
trying to.
how would you feel, though, if we didn't close? Mom contracted COVID.
I
She
know.
has some,
I know.
and then she dies.
I know.
She literally
I know.
has those
I
conditions,
know.
you know?
I think it's
As do
yeah.
many
A lot of people do.
And then people say, okay, well, then you got to sit in quarantine. They
Yeah.
got to separate themselves.
I know.
And then what's to be
I
of
know.
them?
Well,
and then old people are in freaking retirement
listened
homes
to,
by themselves. They couldn't see their families for 6 months. A lot of them died alone.
I listened to
It's like-
Rogan, and again, we bring him up a lot on here, but I find sometimes,
No reason we shouldn't. He's the Mac Daddy
yeah,
of the
I just
podcast
find
team.
though a lot of times that he's very flip-floppy on his views. Like, he's all of a sudden, it's terrible that they're closing down.
See, I don't think that's a bad thing, though.
Let me finish. Let me just finish. He's saying, like, the comedians, it should be open for the comedians. They should be able, like, he's complaining about that.
Right.
But in the beginning, anybody that was complaining that they couldn't make a living, he was very quick to say, look, we have to keep, like, it was, because it affects him
I know.
and the people he knows, just like my friend is a teacher. He was screaming in the beginning. Anybody that said that we should be able to choose whether we go to work or not, we should shut down. What are you, being an asshole? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, because you're getting paid, motherfucker. Your
Right.
family it doesn't affect you in any way.
Right.
Me, who owns a business and now is not bringing $1 into my house to support my kids, yeah, you know what? I do have an issue with it. I do want to be able to work, or at least have the choice to protect myself and then go into work. I just think that it's very easy when things don't affect somebody to have a strong point of view. And I use Rogan because I've seen his view change very dramatically because his buddies, his little crew of comedians are out of work and they can't, and then he's saying, well, if somebody lives with somebody who can contract it, then you shouldn't be able to go to work. But if you're somebody that lives alone, and you should be able to go work and do whatever. But it's like, dude, if you're living with people, chances are you're the breadwinner. And it's like, it's a no-win situation, this thing. It really is. I just think it's very difficult
Maybe we just do nothing.
I don't know. I don't have the answers. I wish I did. That's why I'm not a politician, I guess.
All I could do is speculate.
Yeah. I don't know enough science, medicine. I don't know. I just know, though, that
It's scary times.
yeah, I think it is, but I just think that for me, when I look at them saying a 92-year-old guy who has 50,000 different health issues, and then when he drops dead, and I don't mean to say that harshly, but when he passes on, it's COVID right away. Like,
Yeah, but what about the other giant chunk that
Yes.
not that age?
no, and I'm not.
It's like,
but I'm saying
people-
it's not the only
it's
guy.
a real thing.
But I'm not saying it's not a real thing. I never said it wasn't a real thing. I just think, though, that the numbers
I know.
are not what they've said on the high end. They're not even close to that. I don't think they are. I don't think when somebody who has a lot of different health issues and then he dies and he had COVID, they say it's COVID.
Yeah, but
If he would have got the flu
Yeah, he could have
or a
died from-
cold, he could have died.
True.
I just think that it's like,
But
until
what's the
I know the
likelihood that
real
he'll die from the
facts.
flu versus what it is to die from COVID?
Say that again?
What's the likelihood of dying from
I don't
the
know.
flu versus dying from COVID?
I don't know. I don't know what the real answer is because nobody gives you the real facts.
Not even Trump?
I don't think he knows for sure either.
I don't think anyone
He's not a
knows.
doctor.
I know.
I
Well,
don't
Fauci
know.
tries to give out the
I
word,
know.
and nobody wants to listen
I
to
know.
him either.
I don't know. I don't know
People
what the
take
real
Bill
answer
Gates
is.
as if he's a demon.
I know. No, I know.
It's and he's not really a doctor, but he certainly has a lot of
Who?
Bill Gates.
Yeah, I know.
He's a smart guy, though.
He is a smart guy, but who knows? I don't know.
It's a freaky time.
It is, but I think that the problem is everything gets politicized, and then
Yeah.
the numbers become
The swirling.
instead
there's
of
the left's
just-
version and
right.
there's the right's version.
right. There's certain times when you should cross over and work together,
Right.
but the
Well,
left doesn't want to
Pelosi
do
likes
that.
to say, it's like, we do come from two different worlds.
Right. The left doesn't want to do that because let's say Trump handles this right. He's then the public is going to get behind him and elect him again. So it certainly doesn't behoove them to help him out. It's very tough. But there are certain times where you got to think, and that angers me about the left, because, like, so you're more concerned with politics than you are with humanity.
Well,
and that,
I need
you know,
relief right now,
Yeah.
and I feel that it's being held up from the left. I feel that Mnuchin and all those guys would have made a fair enough deal to hold us through. But because there's certain demands that aren't being met from the left, it's being jammed up. And I actually think the media is doing a fair enough job, because Pelosi comes out and kind of says it anyway.
Yeah.
So you can't really like lie.
Yeah, she just
She blatantly just says
Yeah.
this is the deal, and everyone's just like, oh, okay. Meanwhile, there's real people like me who need the help.
yeah.
My sector is still not open.
It's crazy though.
And you know something?
That's
Come
where I
wintertime,
don't get.
come wintertime,
Yeah.
that's when you gotta watch and wait and
Yeah.
see.
I just don't get.
There was an
how-
article that came out from the New York Times yesterday saying by the next 6 months, 50 to 60% of restaurants and catering venues in New York State
Out of business.
will be closed for good.
Yeah. I don't see how they can't.
It's crazy.
But I don't understand why you can't open those places, but like you allow other public things to be open. I don't
I
see
know.
what the difference is. I just don't. You don't open to capacity.
Adventureland, for example, is getting screwed. They were just on News 12 this
Yeah.
morning. They did everything they had to do to meet the requirements of the government.
Yes.
They got the signs, they got the pumps, they got this, they got
spent
that.
all
they
that
got
money.
all that money spent in PPP,
Yeah.
stuff donated from the government.
Right.
Still can't open. So it's like, I don't know. But then you can go to Walmart. You can go to Target. You can go to meat farms or whatever the hell else. You can go anywhere you really want to go. You can go down on Main Street and get blasted and freaking run around and pee on the side of buildings, you know? Like, and even that's
know.
starting to teeter because now they're putting out these mandates that while you're even outside, you need to have a mask on. And it's like these creepy propaganda things that are posted around the town. And like you're just like, oh God, you feel like you're living in like a video game. Like post-apocalyptic video game. Who the hell wants to go out in that? People
Yeah.
aren't doing it.
Yeah.
Only the realest, like, hot places
Yeah.
are
Or
getting through. And by the skin of their teeth.
So when you're hanging out in a bar, I haven't been out.
The way it works
Do you
is
wear a mask
there's
in the
a
bar?
sign that please put your mask on upon entering.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then you enter, and they take you to your seat. Then you can remove your mask.
Can you stand at the bar?
You can sit at the bar, and you got to have, like, a space
Oh wow.
or two.
Wow.
And it sucks.
And yeah, everybody's got the mask on. The
Not at
bartender.
yeah, the employees wear masks, but the patrons don't.
Really?
Which to me is like the dumbest thing.
So
because
you're sitting at a bar. You don't have to have a mask
as
on.
long as you're seated. If you stand up, you got to put. It's
gotta
like
put it
this.
on. Yeah.
How can people
I
not go
don't know.
insane
I
after
know.
all this? You know what I
Oh,
mean?
that's true. I heard that. Like if you're in a restaurant and you're seated, you don't have to.
But
have,
if you got to go
but
take
if you
a
get
whiz,
up to take a leak, you got to
right,
put the mask.
Put
on.
the which I get because you're maybe walking over.
I don't know.
You know, but
I don't know.
the reason that I wasn't feeling so bad about it a month ago is when
Yeah.
I went out, there wasn't these signs outside.
Yeah.
But now I feel like I'm being watched by some
Orwellian.
freaking like
Yeah.
and they're big signs. Any by order of New York State.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you see
And
on
the
the
masks
highways they
make
have them,
people
too.
more tense.
Yeah. Yeah. On the highways it says, "Don't forget, wear your mask. COVID's still a threat." You know.
But it
blah,
is.
Blah, blah.
The president
yeah.
just came down with it.
Yeah.
So, and he's the most protected man in
I guess. I mean, if he's shaking hands with people and everything else, I don't know. I mean, he's
that was his style. It's his
Yeah.
own fault.
Yeah. You
But
know,
you know, he's probably going to beat the virus's ass.
knock
'Cause
on wood. You know.
I believe he will. But, you know, I just don't know. I don't have the answers. I think it's a bad time. I think it's a high stress time. And I think it's a time where everyone's uncertain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone is uncertain.
It's just
The
you know,
people who won are the people who made their businesses online.
Yeah.
That's who won.
Yep.
So,
Well,
good
or
for
you know,
them.
or anybody that's got a job where you're still getting paid while this goes on. You know, those like
Yeah.
teachers and things
I
like
thought
that.
I had that.
Yeah.
And then they were just like, no, you don't have that. Goodbye.
Yeah. Well,
It's crazy.
you have
I
to,
understand, though. They can't
yeah.
be, you know, they can't operate. It's
No,
not their fault.
it's not. You know, you have to just people.
But what's
adapt.
happening though? It's going on 7 months.
Yeah, you got to adapt at some point.
The government's moratoriums on evictions are starting to get skewed.
Yeah.
Landlords are getting fed up. It's like
Yeah.
there are so many real big problems right now
Yep.
that
And
we
what's
haven't even
scary,
seen it yet.
I don't know how people can see Biden saying, we got to shut, it's like he wants to shut down more. I don't know. I mean, how long can the government continue to dole out money to people?
Probably a lot longer than you think.
Yeah, I suppose, hopefully, because some people are going to need it.
I think there's like a new era of
Well, that's also going to
finance.
kill the economy down the road, too.
yeah, but I think the damage has already been done.
Yeah, well, it has.
Like
Well, we will see.
we're talking trillions
Yeah, I know.
of loans.
It's insane. It really is. But like I said, I don't know nobody really has the real answers. This whole time it's
Well,
been
that's why
very
it's so
murky.
politicized,
Right.
because one side says
Right.
this and the other side says
It's
that.
been very murky. It's been where
the virus came from China,
yeah,
which is spooky.
the whole time it's been,
It would have
so-
also been spooky though if it came from down south, like the swine flu.
Yeah.
That was I think that was bred in the Carolinas. If
I think
I'm not
sometimes
mistaken.
you have to look at things too, just for peace of mind. I'm not saying times aren't bad, but just for individuals that are really getting hit with depression, sometimes try to imagine times that humans have lived,
Right.
and just
That's true.
you have to, otherwise you go mad. And,
However, there are some people who got it real bad.
yeah,
And
without a doubt,
It's like
without a doubt,
I don't think they care
no,
about other people's time.
no, they don't.
But as they
well-
shouldn't. They got enough to worry about.
Well, that's the thing. Either you try to improve yourself mentally, or you succumb. It's like
Yeah.
you don't have a choice.
That's life.
Yeah, I mean, I don't certainly don't want to see people going down that road. So I mean, it's just try to think.
I don't know anymore. It's a bad time.
It is.
It really
It
is.
is. But when times are bad, they'll always get better. When times are great, they
It's
always
just crazy
get worse.
though. Every month we have like a new bombshell. Like
Yeah,
it's like a
well, this year has been a tough year.
insane.
In comparison to past years, this year is
This will be remembered forever.
this was
2020.
definitely the toughest year of my life as far as what I've seen go on and the vitriol in the
And that's
world.
amazing because just that's one view we all share
Yeah,
from the left and the right,
yeah.
globally.
Difficult year,
Absolutely.
and I think this will be a New Year's where people will be a little more happy and just to get rid of the. Hopefully,
I don't know.
brighter days are ahead.
Yeah.
So
Well, anyway, I just want to say best wishes to the president.
yeah,
I hope he has a
I
speedy
think-
recovery and can make it back on
Yep.
the debate stage with
Just keep positive,
What's
keep
his
a
name?
positive attitude. And
yeah, to all the people out
Yep.
there who are screwed right now. It'll
you
get
have
better.
to. You got to stay positive. You let yourself get down. You're succumbing to the
To the China virus.
You just got to stay strong, mentally and physically.
All right, everyone have a
Right.
nice Friday.
Have
We'll
a
see you
great
Monday.
weekend. We'll see you guys.